The following podcast contains spoilers and words that my mother would prefer I did not say. We watch the thing. We watch the thing. Hello everybody and welcome back to We Watched the Thing. We're back in the studio again, mate. How you feeling, Dave?
I am better than I was last week, that's for sure. Last week I was a fucking wreck. Bloody COVID. Thought I was immune. Thought I was a Superman, but it turns out I'm a regular
can't believe
human.
you lasted that long without catching it. I had it 3 times in the time it took you to get it once, so...
Yeah. Hopefully I haven't just broken the seal and we'll now start getting it every few weeks just for fun.
But I hope all you listeners enjoyed last week's bonus episode. At least we were able to put something up, so hopefully that was a bit of fun. But this week, we have so much to talk about, mate. We have both seen so many movies lately, and instead of, doing individual episodes on them, because there's so much more coming, mate.
I know.
There's so much over the next couple of months. So we're going to do a kind of spoiler-free wrap-up, I guess, of, at minimum, 5 films. And I'm curious to see if we disagree on any of those, because we both got to Meg 2, as you like to call it, Shut Up Meg,
Yep.
Talk to Me, Last Voyage of the Demeter, and then you also got to Gran Turismo, and I got to Asteroid City.
Yeah, you're welcome to that one.
So how about we do this? Why don't we put those in order from worst to best in our opinions?
Yep.
And if you've got anything else you want to chat about, then throw that in as well. So why don't you kick us off with your number 4 of those films?
So that being the one I enjoyed least.
Yes.
That will be Talk to Me.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Let me preface. It's not a bad film.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, for first-time directors, because these guys have only done YouTube shit before.
Yeah.
It's an Aussie film, so you kind of got a bit of a soft spot for it, even though the cultural cringe makes me automatically think it's not going to be very good. It's a solid effort. It's well made. I just think some of the acting was a little ropey. I think the direction, some of the inexperience came through in some of the scenes. Some of the scares I think were genuinely good, but some parts I thought it was a little bit and I think the writing was a little uneven. I think it did itself a disservice in some of the plotting and pacing. We were a bit slow to get started, and then the good stuff started happening, and then it kind of like, well, now you've stopped the good stuff, and you're back to boring shit again. But I think it finished rather strongly. What did you make of it?
I mean, you disagree with like 90% of the population. People are raving about this film, saying it's A24's best horror.
Oh, fuck off!
People are going sick for it.
It's not.
So,
no.
I'm somewhere a little in between. I think it's a good film. I agree with you that
fine.
It's not a great film.
Passably fine, verging on solid. I wouldn't say it's good. I think there's too many flaws in it, but I enjoyed it enough. Some of the scenes are very effective.
There are some really... I actually thought most of the acting was pretty good, but you're right. As Australians, I think it's hard for us to get past that cultural cringe, because we hear that, no, don't. Like, we hear that, and we're like, you fucking boat.
The cold open, I think, is one of the best sequences in the film. I think it's really strong.
It is very strong, actually, and it took me by surprise.
It felt like a cross between Neighbours and Snowtown. Like, oh, where is he? Shazza is in the back room. Oh, fucking here, eh?
I thought that it was solid. I would say good. I'm giving Talk to Me a 7 out of 10, and it's my 3rd film for the week.
Yeah.
So on to my number 4 then. The one that I did enjoy less than Talk to Me is Meg 2. Which, I don't know, I have a feeling it might be much higher on your list.
I'm the nerd as to what to put it last.
Yeah.
That or this. You threw out a curveball, though, because I'm sure on your little intro to the bonus ep last week, you said it slaps super hard, and I was like...
It does.
Watching it in the cinema, I was like, did I just mishear what Billy said, or is he doing another Fast 10 and just being a contrarian?
No, see, here's my problem. You know that I love monster movies, and I love bad monster movies. And the best review I saw of this film is that it's for people who want their Sci-Fi Channel movies to have a $100 million budget. And that's absolutely true. That's all this film is. The thing with this film for me is its highs are quite high. Like, the bits where I was having fun, I was having a lot of fun. The final 40 minutes on Fun Island.
Yeah.
if that had have been the entire movie, which it's basically Piranha at that point.
Yeah.
But if that had
But if
been
you're watching the trailer,
movie,
that is the entire movie. There is not
oh,
a
right,
hint.
I haven't seen the
trailer.
trailer.
Doesn't have a hint of this completely extraneous espionage side plot.
Well,
which
that's the thing.
was
Yeah.
unnecessary. You didn't. I like Sienna Guillory, but she didn't need to be there. None of that side plot needed to be there. It added nothing other than to take you away from giant scary monsters, which is why we were
Agreed.
all there.
Yeah. The first half, I think, takes itself far too seriously as well. Like, once it gets into the Fun Island stuff and you got that ridiculous people running away from monsters and big sharks and Jason Statham fucking jet skiing at sharks and punching them in the face, like, that's what you want. That's what you come there for.
What's his name? Jin whatever. Who apparently is one of the top action stars in China. I mean...
Yeah, right.
But he was great. He was 50-50 with Statham in doing cool, unbelievable shit.
Yeah. So the bits that were good were really good, but that first, honestly, hour, it's really slow. It's not fun. It's so dull, and it takes itself so seriously.
I was quite... I was looking forward to this because the trailer...
Yeah.
The trailer is a masterclass in how to extract all the good shit and put it on screen.
Yeah, right.
I do kind of like Ben Wheatley. He's an odd choice for this sort of film, and I don't think they should give him one again because it's not his forte, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was interested to see what he could bring. The answer, as it turns out, is very little. He could have been any old Asylum Studios director on this, really. I was annoyed that they fridged Su Yin, who I really liked from the first one, who just inexplicably is
dead.
Been fridged off screen before we start.
Yeah.
For no reason. Why?
Yes.
Unless, and I did hear Paul hint at this on the countdown in their review. Apparently, there is a situation where a number of Chinese actors have been
banned.
Yeah,
from
kind of because of of speaking out against things that the government didn't want them to speak out against, and now not unable to work. So possibly she fell foul of that.
Right.
Which, okay, fair enough. You've got to work around that. But if that's not the case, I think it's unforgivable that they not only fridged her, but fridged her off screen before the film even starts for no reason. Just so you can have Statham be the godfather figure without any annoying actual parents in the way.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, there was enough funny stuff in this that I didn't regret my time with it.
Absolutely.
It didn't, and I realise I'm in the minority here. People who weren't annoyed at films that annoyed the shit out of me, like Uncharted and Moonfall,
I like those movies.
Are incensed by this one. This didn't anger me at all. I enjoyed it for the big dumb Sharknado stupidity that it was. Good to have Cliff Curtis back. Good to have JP or whatever his name is, who's gone off and not only taught himself how to swim, but become a super-powered Marine with a Desert Eagle and fucking mace.
That was funny. Yeah, 100%. Not only, like, this movie's absolutely a pass for me. I liked all 4 of the movies that I watched this week. So this is a 6 out of 10 for me, even though it is my lowest of the week.
Yeah, so, I reckon I'd probably give this about a 6. And it's purely based on enjoyment, not the quality of the film. Talk to me, I'd probably give like a 5.5. It's just a pass because I think some of the scenes, like when the younger brother finally sort of takes the hand challenge and smashes his face, that was really affecting stuff. Very, very well done. And then they revisit it and do as if he's not beaten up enough. They get him to smash himself around some more later on. So
All right. So is Meg 2 your number 3 of the week?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Well, talk to me as my number 3. So we're back to you for your number 2.
All right. This is where it gets difficult because I really enjoyed both Gran Turismo and Demeter.
Wow. Okay. That's a big, recommendation for Gran Turismo. I wasn't even sure I was going to see it because the trailer, which I have seen a heap, looks fucking abysmal.
Oh no!
But you're now like the third person I've heard say that it's pretty good.
Opinions appear to, and I am going to put this at 2.
Okay. Yeah.
So we will talk about it now. It appears to have been quite polarizing, because I have heard people go that this film is finally proof that District 9 was a fluke and Neil Blomkamp is a shit director.
See, I fucking hate District 9, so I don't think he's ever made anything good.
You need to check out the Oates Studios stuff on Netflix, the short films that he did over there.
Okay.
They are really solid.
Yeah,
really,
cool.
really solid. And you've got people like Sigourney Weaver and Elle Fanning and proper
shit.
people. They're very, very good. But yeah, he is hit and miss. Let's not talk about crappy. That's less said the better. And I like District 9, so he can do good stuff. This to me is kind of like a sister film for Ford v Ferrari.
Okay.
And that's because I'm a complete neophyte with motor racing, so they're just car films. The cinematography's gorgeous. The racing scenes are so exhilarating. Some of the best I've ever seen. I think they've done a really good job of showing the mentality of our main character, who is, for those that don't know, he's won a competition as being one of the best Gran Turismo PlayStation players in the world, and they stick him inside a real car, which sounds fucking ridiculous, but apparently it's a true story. And
I noticed that they seem to have upped that in the marketing too, whether maybe they got that feedback that is what makes it interesting.
Yeah,
but I noticed now even the title of the film on the cinema website is Gran Turismo: a true story.
Yeah.
So
because it seems ridiculous. And if I didn't know that, one of the first things I would say in reviewing it is, well, obviously the premise is completely cooked and this could never happen in real life.
Yeah.
But not only is it true, but over the closing credits, you do see side-by-side scenes from the film and scenes from of the real guy. And the real guy was the stunt double of Archie Madekwe, or whatever his name is, who's the main character in the film.
Yeah,
So,
right.
And
okay.
he has gone on, I forget the number now, he's done shitloads of races. He's kept going at it, and he is a professional racer. So it's all legit, which to me adds a huge amount to the experience of watching the film. But I found the acting's really good. The relationship between he and David Harbour is really well rendered and progresses nicely over the course of the film. I found it exciting. He's got the relationship with his father, played by Jimon Hunsu, is really touching. I could have actually done a little bit more of that, but I think what you do get is well done. I found it really solid. I was pleasantly surprised. I went in expecting, not too much. I expected to kind of like it because I like Harbour, I like Orlando Bloom. There's people in there that I like, but no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, right, because the trailer to me looks terrible, and I wonder if they've since changed the marketing now that they seem to be pushing that true story aspect, because the trailer to me looks like, okay, so it's a car version of The Last Starfighter. like it just seems ridiculous. That's interesting.
I mean,
okay.
At its core, you win a video game and you get to fly the real thing or drive the real thing. It is basically the same.
Yeah. So do you think that the movie would be, if it was this exact same movie, but without knowing that it's based on a true story, or do you think you'd find it as good?
No. I would still enjoy it. It is a solid, well-made film, and I would still enjoy it, and I would still find it exciting, but I would think it's a bit far-fetched. Knowing that all of the shit that's far-fetched is actually real, and all the scene, beat for beat, it is, from what I can gather, pretty close to the truth. Yeah, all the major plot beats, good and happy and sad, all actually happened, and it definitely adds to it when it's a story that's this outlandish.
Well, I've got a free day tomorrow, so maybe I'll try get to it.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, okay. Means that...
I reckon I'd give this like a 7.5.
Okay, cool. Well, that means that my number 2 is your number 1, because my number 2 is Dracula, Voyage of the Demeter.
Fucking hell, you've got that fucking bullshit at number 1. All right, carry on.
I didn't love this movie as much as I was hoping to. I think there's a lot about it that really works. I've spoken at length on the show before about how I believe I was a whaler in a past life. So all of the stuff on the boat, I love it. I love it. And I think the acting's really solid. The screenplay is great. To be able to take a chapter from a book
Not even
and
a
turn
chapter.
it into...
It's
Yeah,
like a
and turn it
segment
into...
from a captain's log.
Yeah, and turn it into a fully fleshed out film that doesn't overstay its runtime at all. It feels perfect in terms of pacing and length. I think is really strong. There are some aspects I don't like. I don't like the look of our creature, Dracula.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really does not do it for me. I think he's too demonic, and I think that so much of what makes Dracula work is his charm. Like, he's supposed to be a sexy motherfucker. I know that we're only seeing him in like his vampiric state here.
That's why I liked the little coda that we had in the pub in England, where
you
he's
just see him with
almost
his kind of
human.
hat and
Because
tails,
the more he feeds, the more he sort of becomes more and more human looking, and he regains his speech, and it sort of, kind of like Nick Cage in Renfield when he goes from, gets more and more charming and erudite and polished as he slowly reforms. And I got the sense that that's what Uvredar was doing here. That he wanted, he wanted to show, because I did like the way that they made it really clear that Dracula had set himself up to survive this voyage where basically the entire crew were there as a drip-fed smorgasbord so that he could space out his limited blood supply over this month-long voyage. So he knew that he would be just surviving the whole way there because he only had sort of 6 people to last him weeks and weeks and weeks. And so he was going to be basically in his basest form the whole way there. And then once he could go to town and just gorge himself, then you see him sort of in his suit with his cane, and he's still a little bit bestial, but he's getting
like that.
there.
I feel like that was done better in Renfield, though, because you've got Nick Cage there the whole time, bringing that element of human to it, whereas this was a fully CG animated Dracula for the entire film.
Oh,
I don't think
very
he's
much a
rendered
monster.
very well.
But I think deliberately, I think he was really trying to make sure that he was presenting a completely different view of a character that's been, let's face it, the dapper suit wearing Dracula's kind of been done to death for the last 80, 90 years.
Yeah. And I wasn't wanting that. I think I was just wanting something a little bit more in between rather than like straight up demon.
But I'm with you. I think the acting's really, really solid. What's his name? Davis Seaforth. Liam Cunningham, I thought was fabulous in this. Particularly at the end, after... and also, quite surprisingly, spoilers, we get a kid getting killed.
Yes, which I actually didn't think would happen.
Didn't see that coming. And not done subtly. We get him butchered by a demon, then we get to have him come back and burst into flames and die again. So a double gut punch. Really, really good. Aisling Franciosi, fabulous once again. Give her more films. Give her more films.
100% give her more. Yep. And I thought the set design, production design, score and everything was fantastic too. It all really led into that world building. There's that fucking great moment. It's so small, but when all the rats have disappeared from the ship and they're like, a ship without rats just isn't right. And it's like, well, that's gross, but I like that world building from it.
And you can imagine if you spend, because should mention probably the acting MVP is David Dastmalchian. He was just almost unrecognizable. You compare that with the Suicide Squad, man, that guy's got range. But when he's even though he knows they need to sink the ship, but he's sort of pushing back and going, no, this is my home. And if you basically live on this ship, having the rats absent would be you wouldn't be able to sleep with the silence because you'd
Yeah.
be used to the scratching and all the rest of it, and then suddenly having
Yep.
that absent, it would be as creepy as hell.
Yeah. See, I liked this movie a lot, and I don't know if the ending was purposefully kind of setting itself up for a sequel, but I'd watch one for sure.
Oh
100%.
yeah, I don't think it is, but I'm with you. I'm 100% there. I want to see what happens immediately after that
Yep.
scene.
Give us a fucking dark universe. I'd love a dark universe. So yeah, I'm a 7.5 out of 10 on this one, and it's my number 2.
Yeah, I sort of. Yeah, I can't quite go to an 8. 7.5, yeah, but it's a high 7.5. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, nice. Well,
and,
that's your number
yeah,
1.
I'm still here for anything Andre Hufretal wants to throw at me. He's 4 for 4 now. I've loved everything he's done.
Yep. Well, that's your number 1, which means my number 1 is, of course, Asteroid City. Which you would hate, but I have to say for me, and I'm gonna have to message our good friend Julio from the Contrarians and get his take on
giant fucking wank
this.
over it.
Because this is my favorite Anderson now. This
Oh, really?
is
Wow.
100% my favorite was Anderson. It's by far his most whimsical and
Jesus
quirky. It's a really interesting one. It simultaneously tells us the making of a play while also showing us the play.
Of course it does.
God, he's a wanker.
And I actually love it because no one in this movie talks like how a person talks in real life. There's not a single realistic, 3D character in this film. But I love it. I love it. It's made for me. It's quirky. The cinematography, of course, is absolutely gorgeous. The score is incredible. I'm sure that you would hate it, Dave. I wouldn't recommend this to you at all. But if you're the kind of person who has liked, for example, Wes Anderson's previous films, or if you just like kind of quirky, offbeat indie films, this is great. 8.5 out of 10 for me.
By far the best Wes Anderson thing ever is not actually by him. It's by SNL. I'm sure you must have seen the
I don't
parody.
recall it.
The Midnight Coterie of Sinister something or other. It's got Ed Norton in it and Gwyneth Paltrow. I think Kristen Wiig plays Gwyneth Paltrow, and it is. I'll send you a link. It is the most Wes Anderson thing ever.
I realised too that another film that we both saw at the cinemas within the last little while that we haven't actually spoken about on the show is Sisu.
Yes.
So let's kind of retroactively, where would that fit in your list, which I guess is now a top 5?
Yeah. Probably smack dab in the middle, just under Gran Turismo.
Okay.
It's hugely enjoyable. Lots of fun. And I'm casting my mind back a few months now, I think, but from memory, I did think it dragged a little in parts. The big actiony bits were all fantastic, but I did find it slow in a couple of sections. But by and large, better than John Wick. #.
Yeah, for me, it would be my number 2, right between Asteroid City and Demeter. I liked it a lot. I thought that the action was great. The acting was fantastic. And like you said, it's just a lot of fun. I think, I'm going to go out there and say it, this is the most fun film about just eviscerating Nazis. This is better than Inglourious Bastards for me.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot more fun. It's a lot quicker and sharper and harder, I think. It's a classic revenge plot, really. It's just this.
Yeah,
it is very John Wick. That's actually a very apt comparison. Really,
don't really think of it as a war film or a Nazi film.
Absolutely not.
It's basically just a foreign John Wick sent a little bit longer ago.
Yeah,
because it's really is. It's sort of the unrealistic one man versus everything.
Yeah.
But more enjoyable than the Wick films, I think, and that well, it's not the final scene, but one of the later scenes where the girls drive the tank back in the village
yeah.
and all pop out. That was just so good.
Yeah, it's just fun. And like, I mean, you need to be a certain kind of person to find this film fun because it's extremely gory and extremely violent, but it is done with such gleefulness.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Oh, I mean, he survives more than Harrison Ford did in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Like, it's hyper real in terms of not just the violence, but what he is able to endure over the course of the film, culminating in the fucking plane crash, which is just phenomenally good.
It is, yeah. All right, well, there we go. That's a quick mini review of 6 films.
Yeah.
7 films. 7 films.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to touch on?
You can all happily skip the new fucking Netflix action money bags thing with Gal Gadot. It's just as forgettable as fucking Red Notice and most of their other previous things. I don't know why they can't manage to get this right. I liked Grey Man. Maybe they just need fucking Ryan Gosling and everything. Every other one of their big budget action things, and they're up to about 5 or 6 now.
Yeah.
6 Underground sucked.
Wasn't Extraction and Extraction 2 Netflix?
Oh,
you liked those?
Shit, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
There you
so
go.
They all right. They need Gosling or Thor.
Yeah.
But I mean, Red Notice was obviously a complete bag of ass.
Yeah.
6 Underground was a fucking train wreck. This is cut from exactly the same cloth. It's trying to be. It feels like they're trying to create a Bond franchise,
Yeah.
but with Gal Gadot instead of Bond.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stupid level, God's eye level of Fast and Furious type MacGuffin-y plot. But it's just not. It's so forgettable.
Yeah.
And considering the amount of money that would have been thrown at it, we've got to be talking over 150 mil, probably closer to 200, given, you've got to pay Gal Gadot and you've got to pay fucking 50 Shades, whatever his name is. And then all the set pieces traveling all over the world, blowing shit up. CGI galore. The budget must be huge. And they still can't nail it. Fucking, I know he was in 6 Underground, but at least when they get Ryan Reynolds on for shit like Adam Project, I think that was a Netflix one, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Yep.
At least you've got some charisma in there. Gal Gadot's got less charisma in every film she does. She's got her charisma was started out at a fucking 11.
Yeah, that's true.
And
actually,
it's fucking at a 3 now. She's just
that
sleepwalking
is
through
true. Yeah.
So yeah, skip on that. But on a positive note, I went back and I finished Bad Sisters.
Hey, you
I
finished
did. Fucking great show. Wow, that's so
Nice.
solid all the way to the end. Finished so
Nice.
strongly. And I saw there's a season 2. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did
yeah.
read Sharon Horgan was interviewed saying, she wants to see what happens to these characters in the aftermath of all of this. So I don't know if it's going to be maybe a bit more dramatic and have less sort of smaller comedy beats, but
right.
super happy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that from start to finish, and I'm now back on Catastrophe into season 2. So
Excellent.
I'm all over the Horgan at the moment.
Nice. And you also guested over on our good mate John's show.
I did,
just
yes.
recently. Yes.
Thankfully, it was the first day I had a voice after about 6 days of not being able to speak. Over on their Patreon feed, I joined John and Mike and we did our top 5 films of 1983, which is a lot of fun.
Nice.
We had some great discussion about some really classic stuff there. I think it's only going to be available for patrons over there. But if anyone's a patron of the Pint, you will see me over there.
Excellent. Nice. All right. Well, what are we going to get to next week, mate? There is more coming out.
And more that I didn't even know about. There were a couple of trailers for shit that fuck me. We got the trailer for David Gordon Green's attempt to dig up the corpse of the Exorcist and
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming out
Jesus.
either, but I saw that on the coming soon page.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to talk about it, but I'm not the world's biggest Halloween fan. I recognise its importance, and I love John Carpenter, but I revisited the original Halloween only a year or so ago, and really annoyed Paul when I gave it, I think, a 3.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd and said, it hasn't held up very well, and I think he fucking unfriended me on the spot. But even I was offended by what he did to that franchise. And I think The Exorcist is the greatest movie ever made. So you can only imagine my trepidation now that he's been given the fucking reins to that. And he's got fucking Ellen Burstyn back in it. Talk about pissing on the grave. Jesus. That trailer did not make me at all excited for that.
There's lots coming out.
There's another horror.
Haunted Mansion,
what's the
Past Lives.
Did you get a trailer for the? There's some Indian horror film, English language, but predominantly Indian cast.
No,
horror
I
film.
don't think I did.
Oh, I can't think what it's called now. I got that in both Talk to Me and Demeter.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, can't think now. But we did get the trailers for fucking Dunk Part 2. That's looking fucking amazing.
What's that?
Oh, I call it Dunk because you can't use a font that makes sense. Villeneuve's thing.
Oh, Dune. Yes. Hey, we also have The Nun 2 coming out soon.
Fuck off.
Theatre camp, people have been
Seriously.
raving about.
Why have we got another Nun film? and from memory, I got it. I did get a trailer for that as well. But
and Saw X, the creator. There's a lot coming out over the next couple of months.
The Nun looks terrible. Although it did have one jump scare that not only made me jump, but it made me jump the second time I got the trailer later in the same day. So obviously it's not a bad one. But fucking hell. Stop making films in the Conjuring universe. They're not good anymore. And stop putting Farmigas in it. We've got Baby Farmiga now. Give me Final Girls 2 instead.
Well, we'll figure out what we're going to get to next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at We Watched a Thing. If you want to help support the show, listen to bonus episodes and whatnot, you can do that at patreon.com/We Watched a Thing, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.